Welcome to Sunday Night Primetime on this beautiful Sunday evening in the East Central Plains of Kansas, where KOFO is your top great country giant in the East Central Plains, along with your official home and away voice of the Kansas City Royals, your home and away voice of the Ottawa Braves, your home and away voice of the Ottawa Cyclones. We are the first anchor leg of this 2-hour block on Sunday nights on KOFO, and you are listening to us from Anderson, Franklin, Miami, and Lynn counties, Johnson and Douglas. You're listening to us here in Ottawa and in our neighbors, Princeton, Paola, Osage City, Wellsville, Garnett, the capital of Topeka, the Kansas City suburbs, Emporia, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, Lawrence. You are listening to us this evening. Do we have a great show ahead? And you're hearing us thanks to the auspices of Jim and Cindy Jandron, who both sponsor Life Runners. Go to liferunners.org, get your t-shirt to walk and run for life, like the lovely and gracious Mrs. Deborah Jacobson, building a culture of life, helping expectant mothers and their babies along the way, and their enterprise called Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC. Agriculture, revenue vectors for our farm families, keeping our food supply with Midwestern Americans, not corporate concentrationists, and avoiding all those Mideast terror petrodollars, is ethanol and renewable fuels. Energy for a strong America. Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC. It's lean, it's clean, it's green. Also thanks to Dick Muller, and also thanks to Hames Homes. A week before Super Bowl 59, and I'm just thankful that the good Lord has graced me with the years in my life that I have been around for all of those Super Bowls. Sean Torres, John Jacobson here with Sean Torres. This is literally Sunday night prime time, and you are listening to us on 1540, as well as 1220, as well as 103.7, the country music giant of the East Central Plains of Kansas, your home and away voice of the Royals, and the Ottawa Braves. Blake Griffin is on assignment right now, covering Ottawa Braves baseball. Sean Torres, our intrepid Uber engineer, is in here in studio with me as we carry him across Anderson, Miami, Franklin, and Lynn, Johnson, and Douglas counties, hitting Emporia, the legislative seat of our wonderful Topeka, living on Topeka time as we are here, as well as just a 13-minute drive to Fog Allen Fieldhouse from our studios here at Rock Chalk Jayhawk. And then we've got people listening in from the KC suburbs and from our bulwark here in Ottawa. And Sean, they're listening to us in Princeton and Paola, Osage City, Wellsville, Garnett. Just a magnificent signal here. And Coach Knapp joins us, along with the world over Tim Grover. Tim is our intrepid Big Ten guy that wafts into our Kansas City studios here, since we also put these show segments up on that mega blowtorch on KXCL, the 1540 that goes to 14 of the Big Ten states and 2 Canadian provinces. Coach Knapp, of course, our regular returning veteran, Uber coach, Georgetown legend, 250-plus Big East wins, deep run in the NCAAs, Big East champion, brought women's basketball to parity, Title IX in the era of John Thompson and Patrick Ewing. Coach was doing it with players that guarded Rebecca Lobo and a young UConn team of Jean Oriema that first got women on national television. Coach this day perdures as a broadcaster for ESPN, and also has his own podcast, Play by Play, which, Tim, I know you listen to that. That's a pretty fine podcast, isn't it, Tim Grover?
Oh, yeah, some great stories about grassroots sports. And for many of us here, especially in Iowa, it's nice to kind of have that perspective of Coach growing up in a big city like that. And there is a little bit of difference in culture with sports between rural America and growing up in a big city and competing on an athletic level.
It is. I mean, Coach is old school. He grew up in Philadelphia and remembers giants like Frank Rizzo and Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, and the Flyers, when Kate Smith would sing them all the way into the Stanley Cups by doing her renditions of God Bless America at the beginning of those playoff games. And Coach, One of the main factors in bringing about the giant cultural embracement of professional football was Pete Rozelle as commissioner tapping the Sable brothers, father-son, also at NFL Films, which became the stuff of legend, iconic football status. Incredible films with great original soundtracks by Sam Spence. But, Coach, the voice. There was no voice like John Facenda, was there?
Oh, John Facenda, he was our nightly news guy on Channel 10, CBS in Philly. And it took a few years before I figured out that he was working for NFL Films as well. And we just loved him. We loved his narration.
Well, guys, let's go right now. We're going to take a listen in to John Facenda, one of my heroes, talking about Vince Lombardi, who is probably my chief childhood hero, along with Bart Starr, the Packers quarterback. Vince Lombardi, 5 NFL titles in 7 years. The first year that he did do it, he won titles in, I'll do in reverse order, 67, 66, and 65, which made for the 68 and 67 Super Bowls, and then 62 and 61. In 1963, because the NFL did not have wild card teams, Vince Lombardi's Packers, with an 11-2-1 record, missed the playoffs because the Chicago Bears in the same division were 11-1-2, a half the game difference. And that was the year that Lombardi's star running back, Paul Hornung, the Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame, was suspended for an entire year for gambling. He was part of that Kramer, Thurston, Green Bay sweep. And what Vince Lombardi achieved was just incredible. Only one loss ever in his playoff history. Felled by cancer coming out of retirement from Green Bay. Took a terrible Washington Redskins team to a winning season the first year. Nipped in the bud due to colorectal cancer. Let's listen to John Facenda reflecting on the life of Vincent Lombardi, for whom the Super Bowl trophy is named.
His funeral was held in St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. He died with the courage and grace that had always marked him as a man. Lombardi. A certain magic still lingers in the very name. It speaks of duels in the snow and cold November mud. For 9 years, Lombardi coached the Green Bay Packers. He drove them to 5 NFL championships and victories in the first 2 Super Bowls. His game plans contained a minimum of simple plays executed with a maximum of effort.
If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley. What the hell's going on out here? Everybody's grabbing out there. Nobody's tackling. Just grabbing, everybody. Grab, grab, grab. Nobody tackling. Put your shoulders in there out there.
Beneath his stormy surface flowed the warm tide of compassion and kindness.
I know I'm an emotional man. In order for me, for example, give everything of myself, to take the mental anguish that's all part of this game, the emotionalism that's all part of this game, in order for me to do this for someone else, I think there has to be a certain amount of love for that other person. There's love for each other in the game of football.
Guys, that was the voice of Vince Lombardi coming in there too, and to this day, one of the greatest sports tomes ever written was Instant Replay by Jerry Kramer, who's still with us. His son is still posting about those Packers years, and it's amazing. Distant Replay was a follow-up book to that, and Dick Schaap did an amazing piece for 2020 on how that Packer team bonded with that love for Lombardi and the tremendous successes they had in their later careers and their reunions and that bondedness. Coach, that is part of the early NFL ethos. It must have been exciting to know of Facenda and be around great ethnics like Lombardi. Obviously, there's a big ethnic Italian Catholic demographic there from your original hustings. Reflect just momentarily on that Super Bowl one that also involved the Kansas City Chiefs and how that was so important for the evolution of the NFL and why people like Lombardi were so important, and Facenda for that matter.
Yeah, it was huge to carry the flag of the senior league, and Lombardi did it 2 years in a row, Super Bowl 1 and 2. But you mentioned, John, that he had a sterling playoff record with only one playoff defeat. May I mention it was my Philadelphia
Yes,
Eagles.
You may. you are entitled and privileged to do that. Tim Grover, my dad from Clinton, Iowa, not far from where you are, he was a Packer backer. I think the geographic proximity had something to do with it. My dad was also a United States Marine who fought in the Korean War, who appreciated the theology of St. Thomas Aquinas. Obviously, Lombardi was a terrific professor in his own right and knew theology, was able to talk philosophy. He was the altar boy at the daily Latin masses in Green Bay for Father. The players would go out there and say, Lombardi's everywhere. He's at the diner for breakfast. He's coaches the football. He's serving mass at the church there. Tim, you probably have a respect for Lombardi. A lot of Eastern Iowans and they literally became America's team for quite some time. This tiny little obscure hamlet in Green Bay, Lombardi turned it into Titletown once again on the heels of the earlier Packer teams that won in the 20s.
Oh yes, very much so. I did.
Curly Lambeau. I should say Curly Lambeau, Don Hudson. They made Green Bay Titletown the first time, but many years of drought before Lombardi got there in '59. Go ahead.
Right. Yes, and of course, first job was in Tiffany Brothers Jack Gill in Macoka when I was 16. And one thing we learned from Lombardi is there's Lombardi time. So if you had to go to work at 5, you better be there at 4:05, and we'd all hang out in the break room until it's time to find in for the night. So there were basic things there that helped. And I remember one time I had a cousin that ran the local restaurants, came in to pick up produce, and she said, "What are you kids all doing around here?" Well, we're just hanging out because when are you guys all on break? Who's running the store? I said, "No, we're getting punched at 5." And she was there at 4:05. So, and of course, Bart Starr always said Lombardi didn't talk about the lessons you learned from Lombardi weren't about football. They were about life.
Absolutely. Coach Knapp, that's part of the ethos of these. What we don't have today are as many characters. I love these old characters, Tim Grover, and I love to bring Coach in March. We're doing a big baseball white paper panel presentation conference, and I'm going to be doing legendary baseball announcers. Tim, name a few that you would put in there for legendary national baseball announcers.
Oh, for a national basis, without a doubt, Kurt Gowdy.
Oh, you're music to my ears. He's one of mine that I'm going to do an audio showcase of, yes.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably my favorite one.
I agree.
I can think of right off the bat. He's a thinking man. His working with Ted Williams was always impressive. They'd always have conversations on an intellectual basis with Ted Williams.
Well, I agree. And, Coach, I'm going to go through a few names, and you tell me who you think I should include in my list. Let's see what Coach says here. Coach, I'll let you opine with a quick quip after every name here, okay? Phil Rizzuto.
Whoa. What was his nickname? It should come to me. Oh, anyway, Phil Rizzuto. Holy cow. That was one of his...
yes, it was.
Iterations, and 40 years in the Yankee booth, I believe.
Yes.
With Mel Allen, Red Bar. Oh, I might be stealing some of your names.
No. Go with these.
Rizzuto.
No, go with these. I love this. Give me some of your names because they're on my list.
Well, he worked with iconic figures like Mel Allen, Red Barber, Joe Garagiola.
They're on my list.
Jerry
You're nailing it. You're nailing it. Joe Garagiola was next up on my list here. I had a great Presbyterian babysitter, a Laura Ingalls Wilder type of widow from the North Woods of Minnesota, who was almost like a surrogate grandmother to me. She loved Dwight Eisenhower, and she loved Pee Wee Reese and Dizzy Dean. That's how I thought, man, if this widow lady, babysitter, nurse's aide, she loved baseball, and she loved particularly Pee Wee Reese and Dizzy Dean and how they used to kid each other. What about Howard Cosell, Tim Grover? Not a play-by-play guy, but Howard made it entertainment, didn't he?
Oh, yes, very much so. Another intellectual person, and he wasn't afraid to be controversial.
Exactly.
And the thing you learn from announcers like that is we don't have to be black and white and all or nothing people. That we can tolerate when you have that type of diversity in announcing, where an announcer feels free to express their own opinion, and you have the open-mindedness to say, well, I don't quite agree with that, but I'm not going to turn them off. I think we're missing that in our society today.
You are indubitably correct, my learned, effervescent colleague. Coach, Tony Kubek, Tim McCarver.
Yeah, great analyst, no doubt. And I think that you're going to get around to Vin Scully and Harry Carey.
They're next. They're next on the list. And, Coach, throw in Jack Buck with that outfit, too.
Very good. Absolutely. Very good.
Another guy locally here across to the other river from us, but Mike Shannon, now deceased, from the St. Louis Cardinals. I always loved listening to Mike Shannon. Now, if you're a Cubbies fan, what about Jack Brickhouse?
Oh, yeah.
And Jimmy Pearsall also did commentating with Harry Carey. Coach, are you a Bob Costas and Bob Uecker fan? Let's talk about the Bobs.
Well, I am a Uecker fan, and I didn't hear him. He didn't really do national baseball.
That's true.
He did strictly Milwaukee for forever.
Right.
His national fame was on the Johnny Carson show.
Yes.
Costas is too high and mighty for me.
Yeah, I agree.
He considers himself a baseball historian. That's fine. But I will take a lot of these other gentlemen before him as a play-by-play guy.
Well, Coach, you and I have a good friend that's very close to Bob Costas. It's caused some friction when I have dissed Mr. Costas with this lady in question here, who's a good friend of mine. Tim Grover, Ronald Dutch Reagan was doing Cubs games on the Blowtorch WAHO, and he was reading ticker tape feeds with sound effects in the studio, and that ticker tape broke once, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, and we see examples of that, like in Bull Durham, where the announcer did that, And, I was about to say about Costas, too. I think when Costas was in his prime, he was good, but he got into this, again, where everybody's got to think alike, and he wanted to keep his job, and he suffered from it.
Yeah.
And this last time he was in the booth was not good.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
Before we start in with our Super Bowl predictions for next Sunday, Coach, you mentioned Mel Allen and Red Barber. A quick comment about those guys.
Well, I remember them strictly from the very early, I guess, NBC Game of the Week type thing, and then New York Yankee highlights. That would be my recollection of them.
Every weekend, I was an AM radio listener as a kid, and I would hear that sounder, beep, 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 and it was Sports Central USA with Win Elliott and Phil Rizzuto. Guys, we're on AM radio here. Nothing quite like sports on AM radio. Even Howard Cosell perdured with Speaking of Sports on ABC radio forever. Again, some really great legends, Coach, weren't there?
Well, baseball is that homey, touchy-feely kind of game where the announcer talks to you and speaks to you. And I might be like you and Tim. I grew up with my transistor radio under my pillow.
Yep, same here.
Listening to the Philadelphia Phillies game.
Yep.
And those announcers. So that's the endearing love and feeling of baseball.
Well, next Sunday, guys, who's going to win it? Coach, it's your Eagles versus everyone within the sound of this voice's favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Talk to me. Give us a prediction. Set the table for us.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's some stats for you. Nick Fangio, our fabled defensive coordinator, and the Eagles have the number one defense in the NFL this year. Kansas City is, I think, 9th. However, Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes' lifetime.
Wow.
Scheming against him. Kansas City is 23-1 in the last 24 games.
Amazing.
And they won their 9th consecutive playoff game a week ago.
Yeah.
Only New England, 2001 to 05, won 10 straight. We all know what is on deck here. We all know what is at stake. This will be the first ever team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. It will be gigantic. They will lock their place in history. I can tell you a lot of radio shows I listen to, both out east and nationally, are sick of the Chiefs. Sorry about that, KC fans. They're sick of the Chiefs. They think they get too many calls, and they're begging for them to lose. I think that's a problem. I think they're good enough to win. I won't bet for them. I will bet on the Eagles because they're my hometown team. But Kansas City's too good. They're too good.
You know, even our Kansas City fans who have seen all the memes of the color-coded map of who's cheering for the Chiefs versus the Eagles, and you see the Arrowhead logo over Kansas City in red, and then everything else is green in the continental U.S. Tim, is it that bad? Is there no love for the Chiefs outside of these parts here?
Oh, I would say so. You get into central Iowa especially, there it is. You know, of course, every Iowa boy up here, our age, John, loves Eddie Podolak.
Oh, yeah, yeah. My first Super Bowl autograph. He autographed for me before he entered the Super Bowl game. Yes, in 1971.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Coach is right. They're awfully good. There is a little bit of luck involved there, but as far as some referee preference. But, you know, Mahomes to Kelsey is magic. It's just like Brady to Gronkowski. It's when it's down to it, he finds them somehow. And
you know,
it's going to be hard job for the Eagles.
Our Iowa State buddies, of which we have a few, they're reeling from what K-State did. Coach, what happened yesterday? We got a lot of people listening in. We got a lot of fans of Manhattan, a lot of K-State alums here. K-State beating the Cyclones, who are almost top-ranked in the nation, in Ames. What happened yesterday?
Wow. Iowa State at home, almost unbeatable. K-State won 80-61. They got to the boards and got 14 offensive rebounds and out-rebounded Iowa State, which hardly ever happened. They're a very tough team. They shot 50% from 3, K-State did. 2 of their big transfers, Duke McDaniel and Coleman Hawkins, the multi-million-dollar Mr. Hawkins, went 3 for 3 from 3 and had 17 points. You know, I had my own game here in New Mexico State, so I didn't watch this game.
Right.
It was on simultaneously.
Yeah, because you're broadcasting on television, Coach, at the same time. Yeah.
Right. But I found it very hard to believe when I was looking at this score. You'd have to ask our friend Matt Garst, a dyed-in-the-wool Iowa State guy who has his head in a tub of beer right now.
He couldn't even come on radio. He's so crestfallen. I think we need to do a wellness check. Tim, we're not going to find him hanging in a barn somewhere, are we, Mr. Grover?
Yeah, I was just about to say, we've been kind of monitoring the pad for suicide watch with him. So.
It's been so great to have you guys here, and thanking our sponsors, of course, like Hames Homes and Life Runners, the good folks at Life Runners, creating a culture of life for expectant mothers and babies on the way. Go to liferunners.org. Get your T-shirt like the lovely and gracious Deborah Jacobson, and walk and run for life. And the Jandrins who help sponsor that also are the czars of Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC, sponsor of this show. It's Energy for a Strong America, lean, clean, and Lean, Clean, and Green, Sean Torres, ethanol and renewable fuels, which undergirds our ag families with the revenue vectors, keeps our food supply in the hands of Americans and middle-class, hard-working ag Americans, not corporate concentrationists, and certainly stays away from those foreign petrol dollars in the Mideast. We don't have to trade for that. So thanks again, Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC. It's Sunday night next week, guys. We'll be on right around the time that the Super Bowl is beginning, so you can listen to us while you're watching some of the Super Bowl. In the meantime, grab our podcast at KOFO.com that Sean Torres puts up brilliantly every week. And Tim Grover, where do you find Coach Knapp's podcast, play-by-play, when you find it?
I usually listen to it on Spotify. I got to get this week's listen to yet, but yeah, I really enjoy that show with you and Jerry, Coach.
Coach, you got a big fan.
Appreciate it.
You got a big fan in Eastern Iowa, Grover.
Yeah, Tim tells me all the time. I really appreciate it. We have a show coming up this week on Wednesday. We'll post it later in the week. But our next big guest is actually February 11th. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Sounds great. In the meantime, guys, this is John Jacobson with Sean Torres on the Mighty Blowtorch, KOFO, saying, be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Love Jesus Christ. It's 40 days after Christmas, the day that our Lord was presented in the temple, and Simeon and Anna recognized him as the Messiah, as an infant. Simeon said, Lord, you may now dismiss your servant in peace. I want you guys to reassemble, though, next week, God willing. Be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Love Jesus Christ. God bless us, everyone. Bye-bye.